Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Rachel. President Buhari condemns the killing of lawyer Rahim and says justice must be served. Federal government to announce salary increments for civil servants. Plus, Irish tourist dies after falling from moving train in Thailand. We will bring you details of the stories and more in a moment. We begin this afternoon with Nigeria's leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, condemning the heinous incident of police Drambi Vandi. Rahim was shot dead on Christmas Day by Vandi, who was attached to a Joy police station in Ajah. Rahim was shot when the car she was in tried to make a U-turn on the Ajah bridge. The victim was rushed to a hospital but was confirmed dead. His family and the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, that justice must be done in the case. According to him, this incident is a stark reminder of the recurring menace of the mishandling of weapons and a wake-up call to law enforcement agencies, including the police, to ensure the full implementation of reforms instituted by administration on the subject of weapons handling as well. Muhammadu Buhari has sent a condolence message to former House of Representatives Speaker Gali Naba, who lost his mother, Hajia Naba. The deceased was a sibling of the late Bashir Osman Tofa, a political associate of the president. In the condolence message by his spokesman Garba Shehu, the larger Naaba family. In another development, the federal government has said it will soon announce salary increments for civil servants and public officials due to the steady increase in consumer goods. This came as it said a presidential committee on salaries is covering unemployment. Chris Ngige disclosed this to the State House correspondents after a closed-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the Asarok Villa in Abuja. While citing throwbacks to the ASU strike, industrial action by their sister unions and strikes by medical practitioners earlier in the year, he described 2022 as a year of industrial dispute of 376 new agencies and institutions, despite moves by the federal government to restructure the public service in line with the Steve Oronshire Committee report on restructuring and rationalization of federal government parastatals, agencies and commission. Recall that a white paper committee set up by the federal government to review the parastatals, agencies and commissions created since 2014 submitted a draft report in August. The report recommended the scrapping of merging of some ministries, departments and agencies in order to reduce the cost of governance. Funding indicates that 76 establishment bills for the creation of various institutions and agencies in spite of the economic challenges facing the country. Some of these establishment bills have been passed while others have progressively moved to committee levels in defense of the recommendations of the Oronshire report. Poverty when elected as president in 2023. Obi said this while addressing reporters on the sideline of the party's strategic meeting in Abuja. He bemoaned the high rate of insecurity and poverty and promised to stress that as long as Nigerians are suffering, there is a need to address their challenges. The presidential candidate also pressed the creative and can-do spirit of Nigerian youth, adding that they can compete favorably with the party has announced the former presidential aide Akin Osuntokun as the new Director General of its Presidential Campaign Council. Osuntokun succeeds Doyin Okupe, who resigned as the Director General of the Campaign Council for the party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, after being involved in a money laundering. Okupe guilty of receiving over 200 million cash from former National Security Advisor NSA Sambo Dasuki, ruling that his action violated the Money Laundering Act. Onigbanjo has served as suspect in the alleged extrajudicial killing of a Lagos-based lawyer, Bolanle Rahim, will be charged to court soon. He made this known when he visited the victim's family in the Ajah area of the state. Recall attached to a Ajah police station in Ajah. The cop and his team were said to have tried to stop Rahim and her family members as they drove back home from a Christmas Day church service. The Nigerian Bar Association has since said the killer of Rahim must be swiftly prosecuted and justice be incident as unfortunate and sad, and ordered a speedy investigation and prosecution of the officers responsible for the ugly and unprofessional act. Back here, some residents of Akwa Ibom State have lamented the high cost of transportation, saying the situation has dampened the spirit of the Christmas and New Year celebrations. Speaking with Spectrum Television, the report.
Hiking the price of premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, is no longer news. While some fuel stations within Uyo Metropolis were shut during the holidays, others were selling it not just within Uyo Metropolis, but for people traveling to spend the festivities with their families. A lot of residents who spoke with Spectrum Television lamented how the high cost of transportation, coupled with low purchasing power, has marred their celebrations this year.
And long grain. Why in Abuja you can't get it like that? It's more cheaper. I noticed that things are very cheaper in northern side than our eastern side. Before this Christmas, they said that the fuel have increased. Now we have been entering 50 naira from Ikote Benu to this plaza. Now it's 100 naira.
Things are very, very high. They say 15 naira now. There's no more 15 naira transfer.
Travelers and motorists are not left out. According to them, the passengers are finding it difficult to pay the stipulated amount per drop, and this in turn affects their source of livelihood.
The fuel price is too high. We are buying fuel 280 naira a litre about it. So the government should look into it. The passengers are not complying this.
When fuel was between the rate of 165 and 170, it was convenient for us to convey people at 50 naira per 100. We couldn't bear that again. We had to hike our own fare to 100 naira per drop, though depending on the distance. But now that the fuel is like today, I bought it 270 naira per liter. It is not that easy for us to convey people at 50 naira per drop anymore, even at that.
Although it is a season to be merry, the merriment for some have been marred by the economic realities, reduce the cost of transportation and other commodities, especially during the festivities. Edidio Martin, reporting for Spectrum Television.
In Africa, Angola's Supreme Court has again ordered the preventive seizure of the asset of Isabel dos Santos, daughter of former president in 2019. The court order covers 100% of the shares of the company Embal Vidro, of which the defendant is the beneficial owner, as well as the balances of all bank accounts owned or co-owned by the daughter of the former Angolan president. According to the Supreme Court, the businesswoman damaged the Angolan state with all money laundering. Reports say the decision by the Angolan Supreme Court was based on documents from state oil company Sanangol and mobile phone companies rather. Meanwhile, 8 Congolese soldiers and a civilian have been sentenced to death in DR Congo for killing 2 Chinese nationals. That prosecution successfully argued that the 2 colonels and organized and planned an attack on a convoy carrying Chinese workers in Urumi territory. The convoy, which was returning from a gold mining site, was attacked at Nderemi village on March 17, 2022, adding that 2 Chinese nationals were killed and their civilian driver was injured. On a foreign scene, the House Ways and Means Committee will release former President Donald Trump's PRO former session. There will also be a formal announcement from the committee on Friday. The highly anticipated release comes after the panel last week asserted that the IRS failed to properly audit the former president's taxes while he was in office. The release of Trump after they took control of the House in 2019. Reports say the audit program was important to Democrats because it was the justification they used to obtain the returns in the first place. But the Democratic pursuit was also tied in part to long-held suspicions about Trump's taxes after he bucked the norm and refused to release his returns as a candidate and while in office. Meanwhile, following train, according to Sayok District Police Major Ketchuk Patrick, Ward fell from the train in Kanchanaburi province, west of the capital Bangkok, as it passed a scenic view at low speed. Ward was looking at the view or taking photos. Still to come in the news. Rashford leads dominant Man U to victory. Thanks for staying tuned. On our business news, the Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, has sensitized manufacturers, consumers, and other stakeholders to the need for quality and standards in goods locally manufactured, both locally manufactured or imported conform to the relevant industrial standards. Speaking at an event in Asaba, Delta State, the Senior Special Assistant to the Director General of SON, Emeka Duru, pointed out that SON taking trade and enhancing the economy. Reports say the forum was an avenue for SON and stakeholders to brainstorm on areas they can be of assistance to enable them to carry out their businesses positively by following the land down standardization procedures. To drive awareness among Nigerians as it begins its pilot identity enrollment in the Federal Capital Territory and 6 states across the geopolitical zones in February next year. This was according to a statement by the manager of external communication, having a lean and upgrading infrastructure at the National Identity Management Commission so as to be able to enroll in marginalized and hard-to-reach communities up to no fewer than 250 million persons during the project's life cycle. At a total of 583 deaths have been recorded from cholera, while 23,550 the NDDC discloses in its latest weekly cholera situation report for weeks 44 to 47. The report cholera is an endemic and seasonal disease occurring annually, mostly during the rainy season and more often in areas with poor sanitation. Meanwhile, following reported cases of the resurgence of Ebola, to minimize its impact on the territory, the director of the FCT Public Health Department, Dr. Sadiq Abdulrahman, revealed this while briefing the media in Abuja on the readiness and response of the FCTA health sector. Reports say staff of the Epidemiological Division of the Public Health department have been placed on red alert. And sports, Nigeria international Victor Osimhen is leading the number of goals scored by strikers from open play in the Italian Serie A for the year 2022. Osimhen has been exceptional since he arrived in the Italian league from French league side Lille in 2020 and has in 2022. The 23-year-old leads the list of highest goals scored in the year under review. Still in sport, Marcus Rashford scored one and created another as Manchester United overcame illness issues to beat Nottingham Forest and moved to within a point. He was picked out by Christian Eriksen in a pre-planned corner routine, allowing the striker to exploit Forest's failure to track his run by sweeping the first-time shot past Wayne Hennessy. The England forward turned provider of the area found the net after Hennessy failed to hold. Reports say United completed fourth successive victory in all competitions and underline the theory that the exit of Cristiano Ronaldo will not have a negative effect on the remainder of their season. Of Joe's Borg ahead of its release next month. Following the unexpected death of the creator Shona Ferguson, the Masera family do their best to pick up the pieces without Simon Vader, Nair, played by the late creator. Reports say after missing their late family member, the family tried to adapt to a... It is obvious that someone or something big is coming and time is running out for the Masera brothers. Still on entertainment, Funke Akindele's battle on Booker Street, battle on Booker Street has raked in close to 138 million naira. Meanwhile, Toyin Abraham's latest movie also opened this weekend with 30 million coming after Marvel's Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which has grossed over 800 million naira. On social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 12. I am Rachel David White. Good afternoon.